Hey, it's Mike. So the other day, I was on my Nintendo Switch, scrolling through games, and I saw a game that I haven't played or even thought about in quite a long time called Mark of the Ninja Remastered. This game, I remember really, really liking it. So, I thought I'd give it another shot, and I'm very happy I did. This game is truly, truly awesome. It's a stealth game, which may not be, everyone's, thing. But if you're even remotely into that, I highly, highly recommend it because I feel like this does it does the stealth thing way better than any other stealth game, at least that I've played, in my opinion. It's really excellent. And so what drew me to this game initially was, growing up, I had a game called Tenchu, which is very similar. So you're basically a ninja, and, it's 3D though, and you're going around, doing ninja stuff. So this is basically that, but I feel like there's a bit more to it, really. And I'll get into, some of the subtle differences I've noticed. Some of the big differences that I've noticed between the two. Tenchu is great. It's a series that has, spawned multiple games, and I've played a few of them. I think I've played 3 of them, and I've definitely enjoyed it. So, I don't have the original game that I played because my friend accidentally broke it when we were kids. Crazy story. Just, I don't know. He was playing Tenchu and he was going to switch out the game for something else. I went downstairs, came back up, and he had the game in 2 halves in his hand, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? But, he assured me it was a complete accident. So whatever, right? Anyway, so I didn't have Tenchu anymore. I downloaded a Tenchu game years and years later on the PSP and played that. I think 2 of them, actually, and both were pretty good. Both were solid, but I just didn't really stick with that all that much. I felt like it was a little bit samey between the missions. The 3D, I feel, didn't translate as well into stealth as I feel, with this 2D version, this Mark of the Ninja. And the reason I feel like that is because even though you have the layout of the area in front of you, you can see a lot of, your surroundings. The developers were really good at, masking a lot of information that you, as the player, have to figure out. So you have, these different abilities, one, I think it's called, Farsight or something. So it's, technically an item. You press the button and you can see things more clearly, and you can even look ahead a few more, I guess, inches or whatever than you normally would be able to. So that was, that's really cool. And from there you can, gain some information. Okay, so how much danger am I really in? Can I run into this, situation head on, or do I have to figure out something else? So yeah, stuff like that. And on top of that, you get a lot of different types of items you can play around with. There's distraction items and attacking items. You've got different armors you can equip, which have their strengths and weaknesses, as opposed to your regular armor, which is just kind of what do you call it? Jack of all trades, master of none. Kind of deal, but it's still really good to play with, and I feel like most people do tend to use that one, unless they want to, lean more into one type of strategy, which you can totally do. And that is really what makes this game great, is that, the experimentation and the creativity that the game allows for you, on every single level, because there are multiple ways to approach a single enemy. And some of them will work, some of them won't. But you have to figure out what will, and what will get you killed or noticed. Because if you get noticed, actually, you lose points. You want to stay kind of, you want to be hidden. You don't want to get caught at all. You want to pull off those stealthy kills that no one else hears, and continue on, because at the end it's going to be more points for you. So really cool. And those points basically just add up to really like a final score, if you care about that kind of thing, for the stage itself. But beyond that, what you really want to focus on is the challenges. So every stage that you go into, you get 3 challenges. And for each challenge that you complete, you get, I guess it's like some kind of coin or something. And then there's a store, like an in-game store, that you get to spend that coin in. And that's how you get other items and armor, and not just that, but also abilities. So abilities that you can use, other things that you can, other techniques you can apply to take out the enemy. So really, really freaking cool stuff. And the items themselves are all really awesome and ninja-y. Like, you've got the caltrops for throwing down, and if they're trying to chase you, they're gonna step on it. You've got smoke bomb. You've got like a poison dart that when you throw it at an enemy, they go crazy like instantly, and they might even like start shooting at their allies. Really cool. There's a lot more than that. So yeah, really awesome game. Now, comparing that to Tenchu really quick, I just feel like with Tenchu, I don't know, like, I feel like somehow the 3D limits the fun in being stealthy for some reason. I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't played Tenchu in a long time, and like I said, when I did play it, I enjoyed it, but I played Mark of the Ninja and enjoyed it a hell of a lot more, to where now this is my stealth game. It really is. It just brings so much to the table, and this was actually one of the very first like indie games that became big, that that was successful. So it's an early title. I forgot to mention, it's even the remastered version I have is over 10 years old for sure by now. So yeah, it is an older game, but I feel like it really does hold up well. I don't think any other type of game came out that could surpass this, in this genre at least. So yeah, highly recommend this game. I could not give it enough praises. If there's anything else I want to say about it, is that it's just really fun. I mean, like I said, I love the fact that it gives you, the opportunity to be creative and try different things that really other games don't. A lot of the times other games don't. The choices are usually pretty obvious. There's, games are not really good at integrating puzzles with, player agency. There's usually only like 1 or 2 ways you can approach a situation, and you figure out and do it. But here, it's just, different situation for different enemies. There may be traps you have to overcome. There may be both that you have to overcome, So, yeah. Excellent game. Highly recommend Mark of the Ninja. Peace out, guys.